What's something you should always keep in your car? A fire extinguisher. About 2 years ago I was in the car with my parents when all of a sudden the gears stopped responding and smoke starting coming out of the front and back. We parked on the side of the road, opened the front and a piece, I think it was the battery, was burning. It was only put out because a man who was passing by riding a motorcycle quickly stopped, took off his jacket, soaked it in water from a bottle that he had with him, and covered the fire with it. Turns out he was an ex-fireman. You probably shouldn't always count on being that lucky. You got really lucky. You're very unable to put out a vehicle fire if your car catches on fire, and you're unlikely to really even be able to open the hood. Usually if a car lights on fire, it's gone. They are more useful if someone else has a crash and their car lights on fire. If you catch an accident right after it happens, you can potentially put out a fire caused by the accident. This allows correctly trained people to extract the occupants of the other car instead of dragging them out and possibly harming or killing them in the process. Pro tip: large trucks carry fire extinguishers. My employer's trucks have 2 each. A small one in the cab and a 4 kilograms above the near side drive wheels. About 6 months ago, I saw a car broken down on the hard shoulder of motorway. Because of the terrain, I could see under the car and the flames under the front. I pulled off and stopped ahead of the car, grabbed the big extinguisher and ran toward it. As I came close I shouted to the driver to get out. Nothing. Get out of the effing car. Right now. Out. Out. The car is on fire. Get out. The driver didn't get out and I triggered the extinguisher under the car. Still yelling. The flames abated, but wouldn't go out completely. Something burning was dripping from the engine bay where the extinguisher couldn't reach. I ran to the driver's door to get the bonnet release, and the reason for the lack of response became apparent. The driver wasn't in the car. I looked toward the roadside, and saw him standing under a tree, looking confused and more than a little terrified. Open the bonnet. He unlatched it and I crouched down into the side to open it. No fireball, and I hit the remaining flames with the extinguisher. Crisis over. He hadn't realized the car was burning until the screaming maniac with the fire extinguisher turned up. I left it with him and carried on. My employer's reaction? Generally positive. Sure, it cost them a fire extinguisher, but a burning vehicle would have closed the motorway for up to an hour, delaying dozens of our trucks on a Friday afternoon. So yeah, trucks carry fire extinguishers. Also, never open the hood if you suspect a fire. It will only add more oxygen. Get out of the car where it's safe to do so, far away from anything else, roadway, structures, cars, tall grass, and get away from the vehicle. Jumper cables, tire repair kit, tire inflator, or a spare. Remember when cars used to come with spare tires? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Toolkit, jumper cables, good snow removing tool, if it snows where you live, and de-icer. I'm paranoid enough in the winter time to always have boots, gloves, water and a blanket too. I live in a more urban area but frequently travel into the mountains for work. I throw in a gallon of water, a sleeping bag, and a change of clothes suitable for mountain weather. A firefighter friend has pulled a number of dead bodies out of car accidents where the accident only killed the car the people froze to death. One that sticks out is a pair of college-aged girls heading up to meet friends at house in Tahoe. They drove up wearing bikini tops in winter and froze to death after sliding of the highway. I don't know if they had warmer clothes they just didn't change into or if a friend had their bags in a separate car, but he was pretty bummed out about that one. If those girls had a wool blanket, sleeping bags, or coats they'd have been cold but alive. Remember, folks, if you have to run your engine to stay warm, don't do it inside a garage and make sure the tailpipe is clear and unblocked. A bunch of Texans just died because they were new to this piece of information. If you have a snowstorm emergency kit, print that out and put it on top so you can't miss it and can't forget it. Prepared, not paranoid. Phone charger, a spare charger, one that you know it's in good condition and will work on case of emergency. Chargers in a car tend to get beat up and fail. Yes. When my partner and I first started dating I thought it was pretty weird that he kept an array of chargers in a waterproof container in his car. 3 years later those chargers have saved our butts so many times. I can't believe how far down I had to scroll to find this. I learned this lesson when I was traveling to visit my sister. Missed my exit, got lost, and had to stop to get a charger in an area I was unfamiliar with at night. Google Maps was not a big thing at that time, so the GPS map on the phone was really delayed, and I did not have a physical map either. Now I always have a charger in my car just in case I end up out longer than anticipated and need to charge my phone. Blanket. I'd upgrade that to a -20F0F/20C sleeping bag. Still cheap, still compact, still good at any temperature, but so much nicer when it's needed. Oh man, I've got one of these for backpacking and honestly it's too warm most of the time. Wind up sleeping with it fully unzipped, 3 limbs sticking out. It's especially awkward because it's a mummy bag so it doesn't just fold open neatly. Still, I'm glad that I have it when the temperature starts dropping past 50. Surprised I had to scroll so far for this. Blankets are important if you break down in a cold rural location, but also if you get too lit at the party you can sleep it off before driving home. Update. Looks like folks are saying you can get arrested for sleeping in your car. Please avoid getting a DUI by using your car blanket to make a blanket fort. If the cops don't know the secret password you have no legal obligation to let them into your blanket fort. Probably. PS. Be aware of your local statutes. This is why owning a minivan is effing awesome. I have a treefold memory foam mattress and a nice blanket that lives in my car. On more than one occasion I have folded down the seats and took a lovely sleep at the party. Depending on the weather the car would be too cold. The alcohol would make the cold worse as it stops your body from reducing the blood flow to extremities. Also, if you have your keys you can still get a DUI as you are in control on the vehicle. Do not keep condoms in your car. The latex breaks down under heat and are susceptible to breaking when you use them. Other condom facts in case anyone here actually had the opportunity to a condom. Keeping condoms in your wallet purse makes them degrade faster. Replace them every 3 months I think. Lipsticks and balms can also make them less effective too. If your condoms are sitting in your wallet for more than 3 months without being used then there's really no reason to keep them in your wallet lol. That's a lesson that I always try to teach my 12 kids. Money. I always keep a $20 bill hidden in my car in case I need to buy food, water, gas, pay a toll, etc. and don't have a debit card. I keep €200, around $240. Because you never know. A few years ago, the area I lived in lost power for an extended period of time. Gas was short, so even places with generators didn't have power. Places wouldn't take debit cards because there wasn't the capability, and ATMs were soon empty, and places ran out of small bills to give change when people showed up to buy goods. After that, I started putting all my singles and $5 bills into an envelope in my house at the end of each week. It is only about $300 as I don't use cash that often so there are usually only a few bills to add to it each week. But I feel much better having it, because as you said, you just never know. Dashcam. Front and back dash cam. More vehicles should come with built-in cameras as standard. I've seen a few posts of Teslas with their 360-degree camera coverage and it's absolutely incredible. Total peace of mind. Unless you're a terrible driver, I guess, then it'd suck. An escape tool. At least $50 in cash. I second this. You get one for fairly cheap and the one I have also comes with a built-in seat belt cutter at the bottom end. I hope I'm never in a situation where I need to use it. But knowing I have it in my car gives me some sort of tranquility lol. Never had to use the business end, but the cutter is the reason why I still have legs after the only bad accident I've ever been in. The engine block collapsed shortly after I got out of the car. Flashlight. Headlight. Keeps the hands free to work. I keep 2 headlights in my car just in case. It's helped on numerous occasions while driving in the dark. I carry a bat that has a flashlight in the end. It also has a pulsing light feature to blind attackers, and then the bat part to whack attackers. Damn, you got a link? I have some more ninja friends that would be delighted knowing about this. Tube sock on the wacky bit so they pull the sock off and not the bat out of your hands. Water. This is excellent advice. It's even better if you combine it with a water bottle. Also blankets and non-perishable snacks will make a breakdown much more bearable. I keep my water loose in my trunk to save money. Add a plug-in immersion heater for tea and hot water. Toilet paper, flashlight, knife, wet wipes, blanket, a can of motor oil, jumper cables, and a couple of dollars. This is a kit I put together in every single car I ever had. I keep toilet paper in my car. Initially it was just something I figured I was likely to forget camping. Then covered it. Americans panicked and bought out all the toilet paper. I ran out before stores had finally restocked. Then I remembered the roll in the car. It absolutely saved my week. I just have mine for work shifts. Commercial toilet paper is a goddamn crime, I tell you what. First aid kit, maps, and emergency supplies. A fire extinguisher. A device to break a window should you end up in water. Have seen people recommend to take off the headrest in an emergency and use the metal bars to break the window. Could be a lifesaver if someone didn't have the glass breaking tool. You know, I would hope I would have thought of that on my own if ever in that situation. But most likely I'd be far too panicked to think of it. Kleenex and paper towels. Geese. If a cop pulls you over, and you have upwards of 10 live geese in your car, that officer really has to think about whether or not he wants to deal with that situation. Or if you're in the UK, a swan. Policeman officers are often looking for them. No luck catching them swans then? Shit, you never know when you have to run. Once a lady rear-ended me on a 110F day, 43C, and her two kids, who were probably elementary school age, had no shoes whatsoever. Her car was full of airbag dust and broken glass, so I had to let them sit in my truck while she waited to get picked up. It was that or burning their feet on the boiling hot blacktop. You'll never know when you'll have to leave your car in a hurry. Not only should you have shoes, they should be on your feet at all times while in the car. My dad didn't even let us wear flip-flops in the truck cause he said if we get into an accident and you have to quickly run away from the truck, looking for your flip-flops or running on debris are your only two options and neither are good. Little wild that I have to put this in writing, but I have shoes on always if I am not in my home or a body of water. Every other time, the shoes stay on, right alongside my nipple tassels. Lots of people saying gas they might mean in the tank, but do not keep it in your trunk, or boot, whatever. It degrades and evaporates in 3-6 months. Keep a gas canister with a little money inside, enough to fill it. I did the keep spare gas in trunk thing and my car ended up stinking of gas, and constant exposure to gasoline fumes causes cancer. Also, gas in your boot is just terrible for your foot, especially if your boots are made by diesel. Registration, insurance, driver's license. Please, not all states require insurance cards. NH doesn't even require that you have insurance. Fire extinguisher. This is true. In Chile it's the law that you have to have one. That's really thoughtful. This law is hella important. Get home bag, which is a cheap rucksack containing hiking boots, spare clothes, emergency money, first aid kit, waterproofs, food, water, multi-tool, foil blanket, lighters, compass, wind-up radio, power bank, torch and a head torch. Basically, if something happens and I'm stranded by the side of the road, or I have to walk 15 miles home, I will have all the stuff I need in one bag. That seems more like a kit to survive a zombie apocalypse or breaking down in, say, Antarctica. Small trash can, LED flashlight, first aid kit, jumper cables, $20.50 in small bills, tolls, parking garages, gas, hookers, etc. Bottled water, change every 6 months, towel, blanket, socks, and a change of clothes. One of these things is not like the other. First aid kit and a case of water bottles. Yourself, wear your seatbelts. If I'm being honest, I only partially do this. I always make sure I wear at least one though. WD-40 and duct tape. Ah yes. Don't forget the zip ties. Baseball bat in the trunk with a tube sock over the end. Baseball. And baseball glove. Bat is to beat someone's A. Sock is so if they grab the bat you can pull it away and they are left with a sock, while you continue to beat their A. Ball glove is so that if you are found to just have a bat, it a weapon. Ball and glove make it sports equipment. Doesn't apply to others, but I always have my baseball glove and a frisbee. I hate being without them if I come across a beautiful open field to toss in. Leatherman. You can do an amazing variety of tasks with a Leatherman. Small kneeling pad in trunk. You may only have to change a tire once a decade, but gosh darn if that half inch of foam isn't a lifesaver on your knees when you do, especially if you're in shorts. Gallon of water should be self-explanatory. Ibuprofen, whether it be work aches and pains, a coworker does, you need to walk a distance for gas or whatever. Raincoat, I never leave home without it. Spare boots shoes, again one of those things you won't think about until you're in Sperry's or flip-flops and have to walk the shoulder or there's broken glass on the road. Cliff bars, goes with water, never hurts to have emergency calories on hand. Emergency contact index card, insurance person if you need a tow, your parents' buddy, if your phone's dead. Do you have every number memorized you might or first responders might need? These are just the first things I thought of on my 15-minute break. How is ice scraper snow brush not higher on this list where my MN peeps at?